Okay, today we are going to carve a pumpkin, but not just any pumpkin. We're going to carve a pumpkin sconce. And not many people have carved sconces before, so let's give you a first show. First thing you got to do is cut the pumpkin in half. And these are artificial pumpkins made of plastic. You can get them at a variety of places. Michael's, Joann's, there's places online. You can look those up, I guess. But so the first thing to do is basically find the seam and start cutting. Got to be very careful. I use a hot knife. It's got a razor end, and because you're pulling towards you, you don't want to cut yourself. So you just got to be careful and go along the seam. Use a little bit of pressure. Take your time. Sometimes it gets a little sticky, you gotta move it back and forth. And there's other times where it goes through just like butter. Just try and stay along that seam. You gotta be real careful on the stem here because the hot knife wants to jump out at you. I've cut myself once in the last, I guess, 42 years I've been carving pumpkins, and I had to get 8 stitches. The last time I got in a hurry and wasn't paying attention, and the hot knife got me. So, see, like right there, it just kind of popped out. You got to be super careful of that. And keep your hot knife so it doesn't catch anything else. Ah, the fresh scent of pumpkin cuttings. So there's our pumpkin sconce to start with. First step. Okay, so the next step in making our pumpkin sconce, now you have a half. I like to take them and get them in the dark and see how they look with a light underneath them. Because sometimes they're good and sometimes not so good. So I'm going to turn the light off here and see how this one looks. I've got the light underneath it. And good, you can still see here. See, these got these bars on here, but still the pumpkin's pretty good as far as markings and other things. That's one side. So let's take a look at the other side. Well, this side's pretty good too. Sometimes you got to get rid of these bars. And sometimes the paint is real bad. I got some markings and things, but looks pretty good. For a simple pumpkin, this will work good for a simple pattern. Like I said, they've got these bars, and I think you can see them here. Sometimes when you're carving a real good pumpkin, you're going to want to grind those down. I'll show you a good pumpkin here that I carved. We're not going to do one as complex as this, but let me turn this one on. Turn this light off. Show you this. Okay, so here's a pumpkin sconce that I've taken the bars out of the back. You can still see them a little bit here, but it's pretty ground away, and you get a nice smooth finish on that one. And then on this one, I put a nice back on it. You can hang it on the wall. I got hangers for them too. I just haven't put it on this one yet. So anyway, that's a finished product except for the hanger. So we go back to our pumpkin here. This guy's going to be a simple pattern. And that's step number 2. Alright, the third step in our pumpkin carving sconce here is to take your pattern, and I like to make them as small as you can so you don't waste a lot of glue. And I like to use Elmer's glue because it washes off easily. You want your glue to get all over the pattern so you don't have spots that aren't glued to the pumpkin. You kind of smooth it all out. You want to get it all the way to the edges. That's why I use the paper towel underneath, so I can just go right over the edge. I don't have to worry about getting the table all gluey. So you got it all over and smoothed in nice. Then try and do this so the camera can see everything. Just take your pattern, put it on your pumpkin. Your hands are a little gluey, so use your towel to wipe them off. You got a little bit of time before this dries. And what you want to do is just spread it out, centered the way you want. And I like to start, because you got these seams that are on the pumpkin, I like to get it right in the seam and then work my way out. And you're going to get some wrinkles, but that's okay. You just kind of keep working your way out and pushing it down. See, and then see, it's going to wrinkle there, and that's okay. You just got to push it down. You try and keep the wrinkles away from the pattern, because that way you can see where you're going to cut. But it's okay if the wrinkles are in the pattern a little bit. Sometimes you just can't get the paper to fold that the way you want. So you just keep working it until you get it right on there. See, rolled paper. You want to keep pushing it down into those ridges a little bit, and then you can straighten it out if it's wrinkled on some of the pattern drawing. So this is a lot easier to work with gluing it on an artificial pumpkin than it is a real pumpkin, that's for sure. Okay, so we got our Wicked Witch of the West, and one of the patterns I drew and offer on my site. Hopefully you'll download and pay for all of them. So there we go. That is step number 3, getting your pattern on your pumpkin. Now you got to let it dry. If you're in a hurry, you can use a hair dryer and dry it real quick. I'm not in a hurry right now, so I'm just going to sit it out maybe in the sun a little bit and let it dry. And we'll move on to cutting our pumpkin in just the next step. Okay, we're coming to section number 4, the actual cutting of the pattern. This pattern's kind of simple, so it should take about 20 minutes, and all I'll use is a hot knife. Sometimes you use a Dremel tool, or I've got a couple of files and X-Acto knives and things like that over here. So for this, I'm going to need my glasses. My eyes aren't what they used to be. And I like as much light as possible, so I even use a headlamp. Always good to have a drink at night. And some nice music. When you start carving a pumpkin, you start from the inside and carve out. That's so it doesn't crack in. If you do the outsides and then try and push on the insides, they tend to crack that way. So start from the inside, get the small pieces, and work your way out just like you did the pattern. All right. Whew. Ta-da! Alright, so we cut it out. My hand is sore. Still got a little cleaning up to do. Some of the stuff is still kind of left inside, but you just kind of push it out, file it down. I'm going to take this off. That'll be another step. But this step is done. Always the longest step. Pushing them through, carving it out, pushing it through. Whew. Cheers. Okay, we're at the last section of our pumpkin sconce. Here's our pumpkin with our paper still on it. Filling up some hot water in the tank. Putting our pumpkin in. It'll just melt that glue and the paper will fall right off. See some of it coming off already. Anyway, got to hold it down with something. So I usually fill that up. Let it get up to the paper. And then just let it sit there for about 15 minutes and the paper comes right off. We're almost done. Okay, so we're back to take the pumpkin out of the water. And sorry about the sun, the glare here. You can see most of the pattern, it just, well, this one's still on there a little bit. It comes off pretty easy in the water. And then got a little brush here just to kind of get the glue off if there's any glue left over. Okay, well, that looks good. And then the last thing to do is put our hooks and our strap along the back so we can hang it up on our lights out front. So we'll do that next. Okay, so now we're going to put our hooks in and our elastic along the back. That way we can attach it to the lights out front. So get one of these little eye hooks. You see that okay? And some braided elastic. And then you just get one side in. And cut the excess off. Then you just measure it here to there. Give yourself a little tie-in room. And you can get these at Home Depot, and the braided elastic I got at Joann's. So they've got all kinds of sewing stuff. And it's good stretchy and it holds up good. My thing just came off. That hook must have not been all the way solid. Okay, let's try that again. Sometimes if your hook doesn't hook all the way, there's all the way around, I use the pliers. I guess I didn't notice that. Squeeze it so the braiding doesn't come out. Not sure if you can still see me, can you? Alright, so here's our last little piece. And then you just screw it into your side. And like to Okay, so that's how we attach it to the light out in front of the house. We'll go do that tonight when it gets dark. Also, they have these lights. This one actually comes with a remote. You can get these at Lights for All Occasions, and these are really cool. They're $5.95, and incredibly, it just attaches right here. It just fits, and you can hang it on the wall with a nail, and voila! There is a true pumpkin sconce. So we'll check it out tonight and see how it looks. Okay, so here we are in the nighttime, and this is what it looks like on the house. We've got a pumpkin sconce. All I did was wrap it around my my light on the house. Got a couple others here. Sorry for the, I guess, movement. We're going to move over here to this one. Just a regular pumpkin with big teeth. So these are the sconces you just put on the lights on your house, and I think they look pretty good. Thanks. Alright, and here's our pumpkin sconce on the wall with no light behind it. It's got its own light in the middle, and I love this little remote. You just turn it on, and you've got a pumpkin sconce on the wall. You can turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. Isn't it great? Technology. So there's our pumpkin sconce on the wall. And that concludes our simple pumpkin sconce. Now, the next level, we are going to something a little more complicated in the next video. It'll be a little bit like this. I hope you stay tuned and enjoy.